As you all are using your microphones, make sure that you press the button and this turns green. And then when you're done, it's off.
All right, so could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, and good evening, everybody. This is the Architectural Review Committee of Monday, October 21st, 2024. Chair O'Donnell.
Here.
Vice Chair Thomas.
Present.
Member Baskin.
Here.
Member McDonald.
Here.
And Member Castro.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right. Could we have a reporting of the posting of the agenda, please?
I gave you those directions and then I didn't do it myself. The agenda for this meeting was made available for public access at the City Hall exterior bulletin board on the west side of the council chamber and the planning services counter at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, October 16th, 2024.
All right, thank you. Public comments, so
Oh, wait, you gotta do acceptance of the agenda.
yes, do I have acceptance of the agenda? And that's been modified, right? The agenda for tonight?
Just to let you guys know, there are a couple of applications that were that are not going to be heard tonight. So the appeal is not going to be heard tonight. The Milo Drive house is not going to be heard tonight, and the Palizzato house in Desert Palisades is not going to be heard tonight. So you're going to hear the Ridge Mountain house, and then you're going to hear the warehouse project.
I could have saved a lot of time.
You just saved it, he just saved you a lot of time.
I did, and it will all come back, and we'll be able to deal with it at another time.
All right, so
May I have
acceptance of the agenda.
Motion for
Yeah.
acceptance of the agenda.
So moved.
Jackie,
All right, we have a motion, we have a second,
who's the second?
and we got a second.
Anna was second.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, we got a motion and a second, roll call?
All in favor?
You can do all in favor.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
Thank you.
All right, public comments. This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the Architectural Review Committee on the consent calendar and any other agenda items and items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Although the Architectural Review Committee values your comments pursuant to the Brown Act, it generally cannot take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the Architectural Review Committee tonight? Any online?
No.
Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the consent calendar. So Ken, as you just mentioned, there's been a few items that have been removed. So we do have item D.
For consent tonight, you have the approval of the minutes and you have item D, which is the Ridge Mountain Drive single family residence.
Okay, Ken, thank you for the reminder on the approval of the minutes. Has all the members reviewed the minutes from our last meeting? September 3rd meeting. Any additions, deletions? Seeing none, do we need a motion? So we need a motion to approve the minutes.
Well, you're approving the minutes and everything on the consent agenda. So
Okay.
unless anybody is wanting to ask questions about the Ridge Mountain House, you will be approving the Ridge Mountain House and the minutes with your consent calendar item. Is there anybody that wants to pull Ridge Mountain? Okay,
Hold on one moment. So it looks like we've got the design team here. We've got the construction team here. It looks like we have the clients here. So we could approve this, or we could tell them how wonderful the project is and kind of go through it.
I've
in that
advised
fashion.
them that if you have no questions on the project, that you will be approving this on the consent agenda. So they are understanding that they may not need to make any presentations tonight. So.
They're all so pretty though.
Yeah.
Like, ready.
You're good, you're good.
No question.
I think it's gonna remain a mystery to us other than what we've seen, and we like what we've seen, so good luck. Get out there, get it done. All right, so
So
that's,
you're basically now gonna approve the consent calendar.
so do we have a
Agenda
motion to
consent
approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Okay,
I'll
we have a
second it.
motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous, Ken.
Very good, thank you.
All right, so. Unfinished business, we have none, new business.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Boy, there goes our audience.
Yeah, they would have.
Just about just a minute, I'll be right.
Okay.
Hey, Glenn,
Where do I sit?
I'm okay with that.
Show for some numbers there. huh?
Yeah.
Just a minute, everyone, while we adjust technical.
It's an area that's, I think it's, nothing around it, on a hill, south end of the city, undisturbed land.
Have at it.
I know,
They should all be. that
great
good.
site,
Mhm.
wonderful view.
Yeah.
You ready?
Do we need to wait for Ken, or are we good?
Okay, you know what?
Oh, let's go.
Hello, everybody, Glenn Malacker here, Associate Planner. Let me go over, this is not the right one.
Let me just put that one.
Yeah, well, that actually false start. Sorry,
No, you're good.
okay, now I have the right slides. So this is an application for a building at the north end of town, north of the I-10. The location is at 1934-5 Newhall Street, and actually. So this is a request by Laughlin LLC owner, as doing business as Architectural Glazing for a major architectural permit application to construct a 6,780 square foot warehouse building located 19345 Newhall Street M2 zone. Case number 24007 architectural review. All right, so once again, this is an aerial photograph showing the location of the site. It's currently vacant at the north end of town, above the I-10 in the McLean track, which is an industrial park area north of the city. The proposal is to construct on this 15,681 square foot lot, a 6,780 square foot warehouse building to house the corporate warehouse, showroom, and lounge for Architectural Glazing, which is a glass company that does high-end glazing here in the city of Palm Springs. So it's divided into two levels. There's a lower level of 5,100 square feet for the warehouse, the showroom, and the lounge, and the upper level, which is 1,680 square feet for company office space. The parking that's required for this building is a total of 13 spaces. They are providing 4 extra spaces, as I mentioned, to 13 spaces, and it just balances out on the site plan, which you'll see in just a second. So looking at the site plan, Newhall Street is to the left, the right of the slide. North is to the top of the drawing. You notice the parking lot is located in the front of the building with the building placed at the rear. There's a shared driveway that is used by an existing warehouse development to the south. Point that out down here. This is the shared driveway. So there's one main entrance into the driveway with the parking along the street and along the building. This will be used by both employees and customers that come to view the showroom. Pointing out other aspects of the project, there's a requirement that a 4.5 foot tall wall be placed along the front of the parking area to screen the parking. That was added on this plan versus what the Planning Commission saw. And the Planning Commission did review the project on September 11th and approved the project, the development permit. So this is why it's here before you. It's already been through the Planning Commission, and now Architecture Review is looking at all the details of the site the landscaping and the architecture and design. So to continue to describe the site, the driveway is to the south. There is a main entrance off of the parking lot area. The south side of the building has a roll-up door and then an enclosed trash area with 2 doors, and trash will be brought out when it's at appropriate time, and then it'll be brought back into the building itself. There is a storage yard that's to the west or the rear of the building, and there's a gate here. And there's storage along the sides and their wall that will encompass the whole site. Moving on, this is the floor plan for the lower level. As I mentioned, there's a large warehouse that is basically 2 stories. Warehouse showroom that will, when you walk in the front door, you'll be greeted there. 2 restrooms and then a staff lounge. On the upper level, the mezzanine level, which sits above the warehouse itself, and you can kind of see how it sits on top here. It does extend over top of the front of the building that provides solar control. And on the second floor are staff offices and a lounge. This is the design of the building, showing it's a unique design, using different types of stucco, metal elements, and then the rear and side is a metal clad building itself. It's a little unusual for this site. Usually the area contains very utilitarian looking warehouse structure. This is a very interesting design that the applicant would like to be his signature building for his business. So as I mentioned, this is the front entry. There's several elements of stucco, stacked stone, anodized windows, and this portion of the building overhangs the front entry. The building height is 26 feet. These are plan elevations showing the different elements of the building, the eyebrows. Change from the planning commission was how these eyebrows are attached. And the applicant architect can describe it better than I can. There's a roof plan showing how the roof will slope. Mechanical equipment is located on the roof, which is shown here. So this is the front of the building, which is on the bottom of the slide. And this is above the overhang below. Cross section showing how the building will operate inside. As I mentioned, there's one large, section C, one large tall warehouse section, and then the mezzanine above the lower showroom. The roll-up door here is at the rear. So there is a roll-up door to the storage area in the rear of the site. So showing building materials, there a stucco called reflective white for the building itself, the main portion. There are accent colors, peppercorn, which is a black color, and then the standing seam metal on the exterior of the clad of the building, which is located to the side and the rear. And then there's a stacked stone in a gray color that are accent pieces at the front of the building. Looking at the landscape plan, they are proposing to use acacia trees and Palo Verde trees. They have changed the landscape plan since the planning commission to upsize the size of the plants to 36-inch boxes. As we all know, it's windy out there in that part of town, and the larger size boxes will provide a better chance that the landscaping lives. They're also providing some other ground cover and then the use of DG and these rocks and boulders. A lighting plan is provided. It's been evaluated against the outdoor lighting standards of the Palm Springs zoning code, and it does meet the lumens and illumination for the site. They're proposing to add lights to and these are light fixtures itself. There are light fixtures attached to the building. And then there are light poles at 18 feet tall. And those are located along the front. There are these little boxes right here. There's 2 of them. This is a photograph of the existing conditions, and as I mentioned, this is the shared driveway to the left. This is the existing building that is there, warehouse building, and the new structure will be here, the vacant parcel. There's existing street curb and gutter, there's no sidewalk along this portion of New Hall Street. And staff recommends approval with conditions that are attached, which are a repeat of the planning commission conditions unless ARC has any other conditions to add. And the applicant is here to discuss the project with you.
Glenn, thank you for the presentation. Any questions of staff?
Quick question, you had mentioned that there is no sidewalk. Did you say that there will be a sidewalk for the portion of the building that
No, there's no sidewalk along New Hall Street.
New Home?
So it'll just be a street and the curb, the gutter and the curb. And then landscaping, their wall, new wall to screen the parking and then the parking lot.
And is that a public street?
Yes.
Okay.
Will there be no sidewalk on New Hall in the future? Is that kind of
There, it's not
It's
a
not.
requirement from engineering. It looks like there's one here. Let me look at the conditions for something.
It's a very industrial area too, if I
Right,
thought, yeah.
let's see, there may be. So in your packet, where, I know you don't have paper with you anymore, it's all on the pads, so it's not as quick for you to find things.
Engineering number 6.
Number 6, thank you, Ken. Okay, yeah, so it requires to construct an 8-foot sidewalk behind the curb along the entire frontage.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions of staff? An 8-foot sidewalk?
Yeah.
I will have probably questions for the applicant. So
I have one question.
Mhm.
What is being used to hold up the eyebrows? Is that like a chain link?
Right, well, the originally, the applicant will be able to describe that, but that has changed from when the planning commission reviewed it. So Gabriel sit over there. Yeah.
Hang on, let me just make sure there's no more questions for staff. No, you can, go ahead, sit down. Yeah.
Glenn, did you say the peppercorn, that black facade? Is that on the south side of the building or is that at the building? Can you?
Okay, let's go to some more slides here. You know, it's kind of.
All four sides?
Right, so this is the front here, facing New Hall Street, and as you go around the corner. This is the south side with the roll-up door and the traction closure area. And then this is the rear, so the rear, west and north side. And remember, this is how the wind would come towards the building, so there's no openings on the windy side of the building, just this one roll-up door in the back.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like thank you, Glenn, again. And we have the applicant. Would you please introduce yourself?
Yes.
And then you've got, does he have 5 minutes? 10 minutes? 10, you got 10 minutes.
10 if he needs it.
10 if you need it.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Gabriel Lujan from GLE Design Group. I'm with the architectural design firm representing the client. And I'm here to answer any and all questions. I mean, Glenn did an excellent job of presenting the project. And I'm just here to answer any questions and or comments. As far as the eyebrows, originally we designed it with chain holding it. But I believe the planning commission wants to go to more of a solid rod holding it. And of course, the structural engineer is gonna be the one that tells us because of the wind, 120 mile an hour wind. He's gonna tell us what he's gonna suggest, but At this point, it'll be a rod, whether it's a 1/2 inch, 5/8 or 3/4 is gonna be up to the wind calcs. And it's more of an architectural feature, just, I mean, it's not really creating a whole lot of shade, but it breaks up that nice big white facade that I put in there. And then also, if you keep it there, I'm gonna give them a, let's go to that one.
Thank you, Mike, with you.
Okay, maybe, okay. I wanna show you the beauty of this building. Because we got the white facade, we got the eyebrows, then we got a soft gray color. With the gray stack zone and the dark black breaking it up. So we looked at all the color combinations, we got the baked black, we got a darker black stucco look. So we looked at all the color combinations and said, how can we make this thing be different? And so that's why we incorporated all the different colors. As you can see, we got the gray, we got the stack zone, we got the black, we got the white. So we're trying to give you a very nice building in a part of Palm Springs that you have a lot of older buildings.
Okay, looks like that is the presentation. We thank you. Are there questions of the applicant?
Yes, thank you for a question. Question, the black, the peppercorn that's wrapped around the 4 sides. What's the reflectivity? Is it a very shiny? I mean, it appears that way in your elevation.
Correct, we're trying to get a shiny reflectivity so that the sun does not bake it too much, so. Right now, we're working with a metal building manufacturer, so he can give us something that is architecturally pleasing, reflective to the sun, and it will not get baked as much as the sun will bake it, so.
And is it intentional? There's sort of a
intentional.
horizontal, there's a
Yeah.
horizontal.
I've also turned
bending.
on, yes,
So
where you see the 2 fronts, I turned it horizontal to make it give it an architectural look.
Uh-huh.
And the other sides, they go vertical, so it's done to make it look pleasing, beautiful.
Looks like a glass box.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And on the elevation, I think the south elevation, you have a big AG. Is that part of your sign?
Well, that's
Program,
that
is that-
became part of the sign program, the client wanted to see what it looks like. But we haven't applied for a sign, so once we do sign, I'm sure we're gonna have to come back to architecture review if he wants to do that big. So we can get an approval unless you wanna approve it now, but all it is just.
We'll let you respond, so signage is not part of the application.
Exactly, which I
Thank you,
know,
Juan.
which that's what I figured, but the client wanted to see his AG for
Okay.
architectural glazing, what it would look like.
They will submit for a sign permit and will evaluate it based upon the sign ordinance. So I don't think it'll be.
It won't be approved now. We try to pull a fast,
Bigger
no,
bubble.
Nice try.
Nice try, look at Ken, nice try.
I have one
Yes.
other, just the material of the black accents around the roll-up door and the trash enclosure. Is that a granite or is that a stone or is that a metal
It-
fascia?
Where, explain that.
That
By the
surrounding the roll-up
No, that's
door?
I think you
stucco,
said that's
that's
stucco.
Oh, that's
it's
stucco, I
stucco, and I'm
apologize.
doing a brown, a broom finish, so it almost looks like a smooth stucco finish. But it doesn't crack as much as a smooth stucco because I do a broom finish on it,
Okay.
which is the other thing I'm incorporating.
Any other questions, Member Castro? You're good.
Okay.
All right. Any other members wish to ask questions of the applicant? No. Member Thomas.
I do, I like it, it's definitely a departure from what's in the area. And the black is really striking, I just think about the black and the heat and summer.
Well, we're
And
also on the
touching.
inside, we're gonna do blown-in insulation also, so that's gonna keep us warm or at least cool inside. And like I said, by doing the reflective finish at the outside, we're hoping we can reflect it both off the roof and off the walls. But we are gonna do blown-in insulation, we're going all out, as you can see.
All right, well, I've got a few observations.
Sure.
And let me just first commend you on the site planning. So as we all know, the wind is brutal out there. And with that northwest prevailing wind, you've got good location for both your employees to enter and for the large roll-up access door to be utilized. So those are real positive, and I'm glad that you guys recognized where you are building. There's a couple of questions that I have with the elevations. If we can, Glenn, if we can go to the front elevation. So the building behind is a manufactured metal building. And it appears there's an odd steel column that goes right through the middle of that center window and then goes right through your stairs. So if we can go to the floor plan, I want you to walk us through this. Why didn't you draw the window there? And how is that window going to work with that steel column?
Okay, that's just a window that help balance the elevations. That window's not operable, it's not seen from inside. So it's basically a planet on window just so the elevations balance. It has no function other than it looks good from outside,
What does it do?
just for looks, nothing. It's just gonna be blocked in. It's like most cannabis places where you walk in, you have the windows, but inside there's a wall that's framed in, you don't see inside. I mean, I could open the sides and let a little bit of, but even the stairs are gonna block it, so. More than anything, it's just for architectural looks.
All right, Glenn, can you go back to the
And
elevation?
you can see how it balances that center area, so my client said, why can't we put, being a glazing contractor, he's like, hey, I can do it inexpensively, cause. that's what he
Yeah,
does.
it's just, and, you know, I'll just use a word, the dishonesty of having a window that's not really a window, that sits in front of a column, that is put there to balance the design.
We can lose it, I mean, if it makes you.
Yeah,
uncomfortable,
what,
that's not a
I
problem.
think we'll make a recommendation, or the committee will make a recommendation on what we wanna do with that. I'm right now exploring why it's there and what it's doing, and you've been helpful in identifying that.
Would it be the two in the middle? Was that what that?
No, the one at the bottom.
The one at the bottom, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you can see it
Yeah,
to the right, we have the same window. So what the client wanted to do is he wanted to balance this guy in here, so this is the window in place, because there is a column coming in right.
So essentially, the window's going right through the stairwell,
Right to the stairwell, right to the
and then
top.
there's a steel column right in front of it.
Mhm.
okay.
So going back to the plan, so if we look at the column encroaching into the stair, what is the dimensional clearance that you have through that stair?
I have a 5-foot stair, and that's a 12-inch pop out, so it still leaves me a 4-foot walkway.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure you didn't have any issues with.
And I have a
Egress
little
lights.
wiggle room, as you can see in the stair, I can always change it once I get the steel manufactured plans, if I need to move it a little, I got wiggle room.
Okay, why don't you tell us a little bit about the sectional quality of this? Why are the offices upstairs so far above the ground floor?
Well, because he wanted to use as much as possible of the metal building or the warehouse. And so the only way, because of the fact that the lot is so small, the only way we could make it work is by going up. So by doing that, we created the offices, all the employees, we still have room downstairs for any ADA accessibility, and we can do a desk there for ADA accessible, so.
Glenn, there's something odd happening with the text, where it's covering up where I actually want to be looking.
That's the closed captioning.
Yeah, can we move that?
That's so we can understand you. That's for our benefit.
Let's correct that. That's also the moneymaker is the actual warehouse itself, so he was trying to get as much warehouse as possible, but still be able to incorporate his office space. Okay, we have it now.
We've got it, good. Thank you. I'll keep saying me. All right, there we go. So what is the floor to ceiling height for the ground floor
12
showroom?
feet, 12 feet.
12 feet. All right. I'm bringing this up because I always find it odd going into these industrial buildings with these loft spaces where I'm asked to walk up a great deal of steps to get to the second floor. I think we're all used to 10 feet, maybe
Correct.
11 feet, but when we get up to 12 feet, it just, and with a narrow, well, a truncated stair as it steps down with that column coming through it. It's just high. I can see some reasons why you might want to do that. You've got a parapet wall there, you're hiding mechanical equipment. If we pull this whole thing down, the mechanical equipment might be more exposed.
Exactly.
The plant-on piece wouldn't wrap around the architecture in the way that it's wrapping around. But I'm just gonna challenge you
That's okay.
the committee is not gonna make a motion on this because it's an operational question, but what you're asking all the employees to do is to walk up a lot of set of stairs to get to that floor. And it could be, there's not a lift in here, it's probably not required by code, but it's just going to every day feel like it's a trek to get upstairs.
Okay.
So if there was a way to pull this down, I think the committee would be okay with more of a parapet. You could keep the same look. It's just that this piece would come down slightly in
I
section.
mean, if we went to a 10 foot, then we would lose our T-bar ceiling, so that's why I went to 12, where I can bring my T-bar to 9, 10 foot high. And still have a little bit more access space, but being that I have open web trusses. I can bring it out down
Yeah.
another foot or two.
I'm gonna leave that to you.
Okay.
I'm just bringing it up as an
No, I thought about
operational
that.
question.
I thought about that.
And there's no issue, just question, there's no issue with storage for the windows and sliders and the downstairs, if you drop that?
Well, I mean, obviously, when you have more height,
Sure.
you can use more wall space
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
For showroom, and that's what it is, basically
Yeah.
the downstairs is the showroom, so.
Yeah.
If we wanted to show a 10 foot high
Yeah.
slider, then they have,
Consider.
exactly, then they would have to go to the warehouse itself versus in here. And as you know, with us trying to design houses for views, we wanna show them the nice big glass. The nice big architectural features that they can incorporate into their $1 million homes.
I think the committee's generally intrigued with the color scheme and the contrast. I think, it feels like it could be interesting. Glenn, can you go back to the elevation, the color elevations? So tell us a little bit about this white, high reflective white. Is that just?
It's a paint, it's a white paint, I wanted something that was.
And it's white paint over stucco.
White paint over stucco,
stucco.
over smooth, it's not quite as smooth as a brown finish, but it looks smooth.
Okay. I'm going to, at least if I make the motion or in a motion, I'm gonna ask that all these colors be flat.
Okay.
I think a highly reflective stucco inorganic material would look, it would just look odd.
Okay, no problem.
The metal, in that you might be able to get an automotive paint and it
Yes, a big.
could
black,
look-
a big black. which
it
was
could
a-
look
Mhm.
reflective in a way and have an interesting quality to it. I think
Mhm.
that could work.
Okay,
Um,
no problem.
yeah, I think the last question that I had was, why are the trash and recycles pulled into the building? Is that a
Because,
zoning code issue
no,
or is that a
because
theft
we
issue?
were worried that we were not gonna have enough parking spaces. So what I did is I went ahead and reset it into the building. Plus also, oh, okay, I know the biggest one. My civil engineer was having a hard time making it work with the slopes. And so the only way we could do it is by insetting into the building. We have a proper slope for that trash enclosures to be rolled down. And plus it's a natural pickup because that alley or that connects all the way through, so. So it was just a natural, perfect place to put it.
I'm not super familiar with the area, but would this be an attractive place for people to sleep at night?
Well, we're doing the 8 foot high metal gates. And there's only about a 12 inch space, maybe 13 inch space for them to crawl up, so.
Would you be amenable to taking those gates all the way
Not a
to
problem.
the ceiling?
We can take them
Okay.
over.
All right, those are my comments. Any other comments before we ask for a motion?
Believe me, my client wanted the square footage, but we told him we can't make the trash enclosure work anywhere else.
Seems odd, but yeah. You've been working on this, so. All right, do we have a motion? Member Castro,
All right.
all right.
Good luck.
I know, wait, do I have anything in front of me to make the motion? But I can't open mine.
You would like? Oh,
Maybe the agenda.
yeah,
Okay,
so.
thank you. Sorry, I don't have that in front of me. Well, this was
The very bottom.
3D. Oh. So I move to approve the major architectural permit application for a 6,780 square foot warehouse building located at 19345 New Hall Street, Zone M2. This is case number AR 2024-0077. Now, does that include any condition?
All right, so we have a motion. With your motion, would you like to include anything that I mentioned?
Yes, including the things that you mentioned.
So I have those as.
Well, Glenn, I'll second,
Oh, okay.
and then
Yeah.
I'll include the items that I had. So flat paint for the highly reflective white. I think the committee was okay with the peppercorn and
Yeah.
tricorn black and whatever sheen they want to use there. The elimination of the downstairs window that backs up to a stairwell. In addition, include full height doors on the trash enclosure to ensure that it's non-climbable and an attractive nuisance.
And the possibility of potentially lowering the height.
And the possibility, and we'll leave it up to the applicant, of lowering the finished floor of the second floor office spaces.
6 to 12 inches.
So that's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, got a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Just doing one favor.
Member Castro,
Aye.
member Thomas,
Aye.
member McDonald. Yes. Member Baston,
Yes.
Chair O'Donnell.
Yes. Okay,
Passes 5-0.
motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very
And
much,
good luck.
gentlemen. Thank you, thank you. And by the way, it's one of the 8 best black colors according to,
Oh,
so. That's what it is, 8 best black colors. That's great.
According to whom?
I was just gonna say,
Ebony Magazine?
I'll be the judge of that.
Tile and interiors, so
Oh,
it's
wow.
on the internet.
All
Okay,
right.
thank you,
Then it-
gentlemen.
then it must be true.
It must be
It must be
true.
true.
Yeah.
All right, so, new business. All right, so we are down to architectural committees, reports, requests and comments. Is that correct, Ken?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
All right, anything to report? So brief general comments and or other issues of concern from members of the architectural committee. Member McDonald.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Am I supposed to raise my hand first? I'm sorry.
No, you said oh.
Yes.
Just being
Do
official.
I need the microphone? Yes, you do.
Mhm.
Okay. On the on kind of just a general note, for landscape. On some of these larger homes that that are presented before us in the hills. And on the mountainside. I think it's important that, when we review these, we understand that, architects like, they want to put this jewel box on the land. And what they sometimes forget is that you have to rehabilitate the land around the house to make it look like it was placed on the lot without any disturbance. And I think we need to possibly on these ones that come before us, we need to ask those questions about how they're revegetating and restoring the desert on these lots. There's other cities like, say, Scottsdale, where you have to have a revegetation plan in place. And it has to either be, the seed mixes, how it's gonna be graded, how it's gonna be, so they can actually have that look. So what we don't have is, we don't have this beautiful home. And then a year later, they like gravelled up the side of the hill. So I just wanted to bring that point up.
And Member McDonald, do you see that best in the form of general notes, conditions of approval for renaturalization? How could we help staff implement that?
I think at the beginning, it should be kind of just conditions of approval. Where we have there has to be some type of revegetation program to restore the natural desert back, and prohibiting the introduction of another inert material to like cover the slope, a slope or something like that.
For erosion protection or what?
Well, what usually happens is if
Let's say I'm planting a 60-inch box Palo Verde on a hillside. And I just dug a hole, I stuck it in there, I put irrigation to it. What do you see as the challenges with that intervention?
well, first of all, the truck has to get to that site. And then it usually has to drive through the site, so it's destroying the desert to get to it. So usually that whole site is riddled with track marks and things like that. So if you wanted to go, completely full bore, you would have what would be called an NAOS area, natural area open space, which is cordoned off, which is delineated by the city, saying that this is the limit of the lot that you can disturb. Everything outside that, and then it's staked and it's cordoned off. So inside that area, you can disturb it. But what we have now is we don't really have any kind of guidelines or anything for like, say, a large house, kind of a place like a jewel box, and it wants to be this jewel box in the desert. But then we don't have any way to make that happen farther, to where we don't know what they're doing. Are you bringing in a native Sonoran desert seed mix? Are you hosing it down to the rock, to the rock DG and raking and rock, re-rock, doing that kind of thing? We have no idea what is going on. So
Ken,
I think that we could work with Member McDonald on some language for some possible conditions of approval that we could incorporate into our landscape conditions. Maybe you and I can speak offline.
Sure.
If you've got some examples that you found are effective, I understand the concept completely. It's about making sure that those areas where there's been grading and disturbance of the natural ground covers that are alive and stuff are reestablished.
Yeah, because I think we've all seen these beautiful examples of architecture out in Joshua Tree and things like that. And then suddenly there's this like pea gravel area, you know, that's just been kind of like
Yeah.
spread
It's
out.
really about healing the site after it's been
Exactly,
disturbed, yeah.
yeah.
We can get together and work on
Sure.
some language
Okay.
and bring it
Yeah,
back.
I just wanted to bring that up.
And I just want to comment, and I completely understand what you're saying as well. I just feel like in the process of things, you know, it gets to the planning commission and then it comes to the architectural. Gets there first. How can we ensure that, you know, let's say there's a condition of approval, is that something that's done early on so that that designer and that landscape design is incorporating those measures or?
You guys have the ability to impose conditions just like the planning commission does. You're imposing conditions that are within the area of expertise that you guys are commenting on and approving. So absolutely, this can be brought in as a condition of approval from the ARC.
From the RC. All right.
Oh, that's good to know. Well, thank you.
So
Yeah.
let's talk offline and I'd like to have you help me a little bit with some of the language and we can put something together and.
Yeah, I
It's
just,
a clever, it's an interesting
again, I
idea.
appreciate the
Yeah.
idea. I think the desert is really forgiving. If you get it the right time of year, it'll
Actually,
renaturalize
no,
itself.
it's not. The desert is not forgiving at all.
So,
And not what you think. So that's why, you know, places like Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, even Phoenix have extremely stringent, you know, conditions on these jewel box homes or special homes, carefree, all those areas. That's why it looks like it does.
Ken, I'll leave it to your expertise to work with Member McDonald on this. I just know that over the years, the conditions have gotten thicker and thicker and thicker. And if there's a way to do this in a way that's pretty
Yeah, I think
forthright,
there's a
yeah.
you know, basic set of guidelines that we could possibly have. But it would just, you know, I'm just trying to bring up a point of, you know, having this, you know, $30 million home, and then you have 4 different type of rock covers, you know, all over the place.
I think it's particularly relevant in areas like the Desert Palisades, where the specific plan is asking for a site to be undisturbed and the natural condition to exist in the buffer areas. It also talks about there being the natural ground cover without having pea gravel or DG spread all over the place.
Mhm.
So I think especially in areas where there's an environmentally sensitive condition that we're trying to maintain, this could be a relevant condition.
And my only point would be that the design team gets that information early on.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, it's
I
important-
feel
it's
as if
important.
we're happy, you know, sure, we can create a condition of approval and add one more to our conditions of approval, but it's at this later hour that they get it. And I'm just concerned if, you know, things are designed, perhaps that slope won't exist anymore, you know?
Yeah, I think it
I
gets
think-
baked in.
I think your point is well taken, but in most of our projects. We normally get fire conditions and engineering conditions before the planning conditions get put together. And most of us in the planning department will forward the draft conditions onto the applicants. So while we're analyzing the project, this can be something that we can be making the applicants aware of. So that it doesn't come in at the 11th hour. They also have on any of these projects that are new construction that have landscape areas greater than 500 square feet, they're required to bring in a set of documents to show conformance with the city's water efficient landscape ordinance. So they're going to be making additional submissions after they visit you guys here to demonstrate conformance on that. So we can make it work. Thank you.
You know, I think it's kind of like a baby step thing, you know, just move towards a certain direction. It's not, you know, coming out with this laundry list of things at the beginning, but as of right now, we have nothing actually to hold to.
All right, any other reports, requests, or comments from the committee? All right, seeing none. Karen, can you just give us a potential projection on the next meeting? And it sounds like there's not a meeting in November, or there's.
There's one meeting in November, there is one meeting in November and there's one meeting in December.
Okay,
And if we need additional meetings, we may have to call them, but at this point, those months tend to be quieter typically. We also find that it's very hard to bring quorums together during that time of year because people are taking holiday vacations. So we've had a fairly light set of agendas. In fact, we've had a couple of meetings canceled in the last 6 months. Partly because there's not a lack of applications coming through the city right now, because there's a lot of them. But it's a matter of the timing that they are prepared, analyzed, ready to present to you and be acted upon. So right now, there is one in November and there is one in December.
and the November meeting, will it get the two applicants that decided not to? They didn't have folks showing up. I think it was the appeal was one, and then the other was Adelis Desert Palisades and.
The Palisades and the Nilo Drive should be coming to you in November. It's gonna depend on the applicant's response
Okay.
to the issues that were brought to their attention. The appeal will likely not come before you on the agenda until the December or January meetings at the request of the appellant.
Okay. Good. So it looks like we've got one in November, one in December, and hopefully everybody. Make themselves available.
Is there one on January 2nd?
I haven't seen the January schedule of meetings, so I don't know yet. Do you know?
Pretty sure that's gonna.
I don't think that-
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think the 2025, I don't think the 2025 meeting schedule has been adopted yet. Mr. Chair, I have just a couple of things to report. There is ongoing work with the city's consultants on the zoning code update. There are there are design standards that are going to be put together for non-residential uses. That I believe, Lance, you are on a subcommittee that's working on some of that stuff.
I am.
That will be brought back for the committee's review on matters pertaining to residential design guidelines. The state is requiring that our design guidelines be objective. And so a lot of the things that you would normally see in our design guidelines for residential projects are going to be modified as well to be more objective. So those were the two comments that came from the planning director. He apologized. He was in completely triple booked tonight. So thank you for hearing us out on all these other things. And that's all we have.
All right. Well, thank you for the director's report. And it looks like we are adjourning. And what time is it?
6:25.
6:25. So the Architectural Advisory Committee, City of Palm Springs, is adjourned at 6:25 PM. We will see everybody in November. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.